Several hundred people gathered on Court Square over the weekend to show their support for local law enforcement at a Back the Blue rally. Notable speakers at the event were Harrisonburg and Rockingham County Commonwealth's Attorney Marsha Garst, Virginia state lawmakers, delegates Tony Wilt and Chris Runyon, and Senator Mark Obenshain, as well as Harrisonburg City Councilman George Hirschman. Other elected officials in attendance were Rockingham County Clerk of Courts Chaz Haywood and Rockingham County Sheriff Brian Hutchinson.
Most of all today, I want to say thank you to our law enforcement officers that are putting on this uniform every single day. Thank you so much for the job that you're doing. We hear the things that are being said about you on the internet, on social media. We hear the bullying that's going on. We hear the slander that's being said about you. And I want you to know that there's a majority that's out here that support you in the job that you do.
Yeah. Remember what law enforcement's supposed to be. We're supposed to be public servants. That means we work for you. That means we answer to you. That means we have to be responsible to you and make sure we are doing our job right and fairly and vigorously. I have seen, not just Matt Cross, working with students within the system that are at the schools that have no one to turn to, that are being sexually and physically abused at home. And you, Matt Cross, I know have saved lives, and thank God for that, Pastor Cross.
Throughout conversations that I've had with the citizens, I think I can narrow it down to basically two things that the citizens are looking for. They want a fair and just criminal justice and judicial system. And I don't think that's too much to ask. But they also want to know that their families, their lives, their livelihoods, their property are being protected through our law enforcement. Ladies and gentlemen, the way to accomplish that is not through as some of the ideas that you've heard put forth here that we're seeing. I know you've seen it. You've seen some of the legislation that's being promoted, and I can guarantee you that the senator and Chris and I and the other some of the other legislators in Richmond, we're going to stand firmly against those things that want to defund our law enforcement, to take away the penalties, make it easier to attack law enforcement. Those things are non-starters. To take away law enforcement from our children. I've had people contact me that want to see more interaction with our law enforcement and our young people. They want to see more of that in the schools.
While the crowd was small in comparison to the June gathering and silent march protest against the murder of George Floyd by a police officer, several of the speakers condemned the murder of George Floyd. Unfortunately, the crowd was not diverse. Only a handful of minorities attended the Back the Blue rally. However, Commonwealth's Attorney Marsha Garst and 26th District Delegate Tony Wilt expressed a desire to reach out to all races and a need to make them feel safe in the Shenandoah Valley.
One other thought I'll share, and it breaks my heart because some of what we see today, it started out with a genuine tragedy. What we saw happen with that gentleman that lost his life at the hands of what I call a rogue police officer. Okay, that was a tragedy, and it spurred a whole different conversation, a whole new conversation at a new level about race relations in our nation. And ladies and gentlemen, that's a conversation I'm convinced we need to have. But sadly, that got swept under the rug. That's been buried by all these other bad actors and these rogue groups and so forth that have gone on terrorizing our neighborhoods, our communities, our businesses. And sadly, the real conversations that we needed to have as communities have just kind of gotten swept away. And that's a shame. So I would encourage each and every one of you to continue to have those conversations. Reach out to the people of color, friends that you have, people that you don't know. That's where we got to start. We're all comfortable with people we know. Let's reach outside of our comfort zone and start having those conversations with our neighbors.
To conclude, I leave my viewers with this question. Is it possible to do both? Can you support local law enforcement and simultaneously be against police brutality and murder by cop? I think you can. As a matter of fact, I know you can because I do. But I want to hear from you. What do you think? Leave your thoughts and comments below the story. In Harrisonburg, Theodore Whitelow for Breaking Through.